here turned to stone. But the smoke here is something else. Do you think sand is called sand because it's between the sea and the land?
They say that imitation is the greatest form of flattery. In the world of video games, I'd have to agree with them. Hey guys, it's Ray from PS Nation, and I'll be reviewing Immortals Fenyx Rising. So when I started playing this game, I couldn't help but think of the many hours I spent with The Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild. But then I'd also get some flashbacks of my time with the recent Assassin's Creed games. So, taking a cue from some of the most popular and successful games in the industry and concocting your own brew makes Fenyx Rising one of the best surprises this year, even if it does feel a little familiar. Right off the bat, Fenyx makes it clear that it doesn't take itself too seriously. In fact, if something about this game sets it apart from its inspirations, it's the clever writing. Fenyx begins with a conversation between Zeus and Prometheus, with the latter making a claim as to why he believes that a mortal can save them all from looming evil. Prometheus does this by telling the story of the game you will be playing, so there is a little bit of a meta aspect to the whole thing, with Zeus constantly interrupting in ways that sometimes affect the game itself.
A huge monster appears. It's ginormous, but Fenyx just laughs.
In fact, towards the beginning of the game, I jumped into one of the vaults scattered throughout the world. These vaults serve the same purpose as the shrines in Breath of the Wild. They're kind of like small, challenging mini dungeons with rewards awaiting at the end. As soon as I jumped into the chasm, Zeus decided that Fenyx had died and rolled the ending credits to the game, listing himself as every developer. This type of exchange follows the entire adventure, including some modern references and hilarious exchanges between the characters. Writing like this is not often seen in video games, which is kind of interesting since another very Greek mythology-inspired game released recently with similar sarcastic writing style. I'm talking about Hades on PC and Switch, also an excellent game. With the world the way it is right now, look up 2020 if you're watching or reading this in the future, a lighter take on good versus evil is very welcomed. Fenyx Rising gives you plenty to do. If you choose to stray off the beaten path of the narrative, you will have a giant world to explore, filled with treasures, puzzles, challenges, and evil creatures waiting to test your skills. The game has various difficulty levels to choose between, but I found the normal setting to be just the right level of challenge for me. I guess there's a new standard being established where the shoulder buttons are used for swords and melee as opposed to the old face buttons. I first experienced this with the God of War on PlayStation 4. Fenyx Rising allows you to customize every button, but everything I tried ended up canceling other button functions, so I ended up just sticking with the default and learning their intended controls. Loot is also a thing here, much like the modern Assassin's Creed games, so keep your eyes open for hidden treasures that reward you with added perks in combat. All of your weapons and armor can be upgraded in the Hall of the Gods. It all seemed a bit overwhelming at first, but that's not even remotely a negative. I just didn't expect this much content when I started playing it. It truly is a combination of the games I mentioned above. In fact, it's the Kid Icarus follow-up that I always wanted. Even if you choose to follow the story, you will have plenty to keep you busy. But we all know that if you're watching this video and you enjoy open world games, you will likely spend more time exploring the world before even trying to get into the story. Zeus even makes a note of the extensive prologue, something that has become a trait for Ubisoft games.
Wait, that was just the prologue? How does it take someone that long to begin a story?
Fenyx Rising is available on all the modern consoles, including the Nintendo Switch. So, the visuals on the PlayStation 5 do not represent something that could only be achieved on Sony's new console. Despite this, the game looks absolutely gorgeous in performance mode. Incredible draw distance welcomes exploration, and while the art style is more reminiscent of a DreamWorks movie like How to Train Your Dragon, the expression behind it is very fluid and very expressive. There were some very minor standouts in the visual department, but nothing that remotely affected gameplay. It's things like character limbs piercing geometry when Fenyx was climbing stairs or near walls, little things like that. If I could guess on a few elements that perhaps benefited from the PlayStation 5, it would be the lighting and ambience. There really wasn't any standout use of ray tracing, but that doesn't mean it's not there. Ray tracing can be used subtly and not intentionally reflect everything. Oh boy, not only does Fenyx Rising welcome you with some epic music, but it also has a cast of very talented voice actors. As I mentioned prior, the game contains some hilarious writing, and it's told through the excellent use of voice and narration. You have a choice of playing a male or female character, and both come packed with just the right tone for audibly selling the story of heroes versus monsters with a slight touch of levity. The characters are in peril, but they're perfectly fine with it. It's been a hell of a year for gaming. We got new consoles, but even before that happened, we had some amazing games released, and yet still more to come before the year is over. Fenyx is an incredibly awesome surprise. Not only did it come right at the end of this crazy year, but it also comes with a brilliantly positive and hilarious personality. Its huge open world beckons exploration, and its story is simple yet intriguing enough to keep me busy when I'm exhausted exploring every vault and looting every chest. It doesn't invent anything new, and it's an accumulation of familiar titles from this generation, but what Fenyx brings to the table is personality and charm, making it one of my favorite titles this year. Be sure to check out our website, psnation.com, for more news and reviews, and also check out our podcast, PS Nation. You can find it on the website or any other streaming services where you get your favorite podcasts.